Hi everyone, thank you for joining us. My name is Edurne and I'm part of the marketing department here at Service Channel. We're hearing both from facilities teams as well as from providers that in today's market, demand for service is outpacing the supply in all trades. I'm here today with Khaled, Head of Supply Operations, to help us unpack the situation, the numbers, the causes, the impacts, and most importantly, the prospects for the future. The question is, can we react to this shortage in a way that may actually deliver permanent operational improvements, regardless of the status in the labor market? Welcome, Khaled, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Adorne. Happy to be here.
So to kick things off, give us a quick overview. What are the trends we're seeing?
As you said, there's just not enough good supply for the increased demand right now. And we can see this pretty clearly from the Service Channel data. In the US this year, work orders nearly doubled from the second quarter over the first quarter. As you would imagine, at the same time, the amount of work orders that are getting declined are increasing significantly, and the number of work orders with an SLA missed are increasing significantly. If you look at just HVAC and refrigeration, this is especially true. And it's pretty scary when you think about the implications of this on emergency work orders when you need that supply most.
So what insights do we have about what's behind these numbers? I would imagine that at least in part, this is due to the impact of COVID-19.
Yeah, COVID has a big effect on it for a number of reasons. Thinking about some asset-based trades right now, like HVAC and refrigeration, those assets in a pre-COVID world were getting serviced in a preventative maintenance way, basically every quarter, depending on your strategy. But after COVID, and in order to save budget, a lot of customers simply stopped doing the preventative maintenance on those assets. So they've been neglected for basically a year straight. So as all of those assets are coming on, there's more and more work to be done. Second is that crowds are back, requiring a much higher standard of upkeep in locations. Restaurants in the second half of last year or the first quarter of this year, depending on where you live, we're operating more like cloud kitchens and just doing takeout service. And inside the restaurant, because they didn't have customers, they could let a light go out without fixing it. The bathrooms didn't have to be as pristine. They could have some ceiling tiles broken. They could have some cracks in the floor. Now that they've got those customers back, they have to maintain that standard that they had in a pre-COVID world. And everyone's trying to do it all at once. Basically what happened was in March of 2020, when COVID hit, a number of technicians were laid off by their service providers. As the demand has increased, those service providers have tried to get the techs back, but because of the advanced age of the techs, in a lot of cases, those techs have just gone into retirement. So we've seen demand double, but supply is still not where it was in a pre-COVID world. In addition, we're seeing effects of COVID in more downstream ways. For example, there are parts shortages. There are parts delays that are leading to significant problems for any work order that requires parts.
Well, long before COVID, though, the trades were already dealing with an ongoing labor shortage for decades. The baby boomers who have dominated this workforce are retiring. Post-secondary education, especially in the US, but also in Europe, is heavily weighted towards college. And vocational training has moved recently more towards digital technology skills like coding over manual trades. Fewer and fewer young people are going into trade schools, and in fact, there are fewer and fewer trade schools for them to go into. The result is a critical shortage of qualified trained technicians entering the job market. This is unfortunate because we're in an era where more and more jobs are being replaced by automation and artificial intelligence, but the trade jobs are not replaceable in the same way. I mean, good luck getting a computer to fix a non-working toilet. So these jobs actually offer more job security. And despite that, good paying jobs for competent plumbers, electricians, and service technicians in refrigeration, HVAC, and other trades are going unfulfilled. This labor shortage is a serious issue for our industry, and Service Channel is exploring ways to help turn this around. Meanwhile, in these market conditions, it's clearly more important than ever for facilities teams to identify who their best providers are, who are the most reliable ones, and nurture them, and also to replace those that are not performing well. I know that Service Channel evaluates providers based on 4 dimensions. The first one being speed. Do they respond and complete work orders promptly? The second one is quality. Can they be relied on for quality work with few callbacks? The third one is price. Are their rates competitive? And we're not just looking at hourly rates here. And the fourth one is communication. Do they keep their customers in the loop as work progresses? Khalid, has the current labor market impacted how we look at these 4 dimensions?
It definitely has. We have had to significantly evolve our approach to evaluating providers on those dimensions. In today's environment, good means something different than it used to. We know that providers are missing SLAs more and more now. One of the biggest questions is how badly are they missing them? So if you're calling work orders with a 4-hour priority level and they're getting there in 6 hours, that's okay. But if they're not getting there until the next day or even 48 hours later, you're going to be in trouble. And we're doing this across every part of the work order where something can go wrong. So think about everything that can go wrong in a work order. Let's use HVAC in the middle of the summer as an example. You send out the work order, but your primary provider declines because they don't have capacity. It's an emergency work order, and the second provider can't get out there until the next business day. So they get out there to do the Band-Aid fix 24 hours later than you would like. Then they have to go submit a quote because the long-term fix is going to be significantly longer and cost more. Because of their capacity constraints, it takes them 5 days to submit a quote. Then once you approve it, they have to actually go ahead and order the parts. Because of the part shortage, it takes 2 weeks to get parts. And because the parts shipping is so unpredictable, the provider can't schedule a technician with a return date with those parts until they actually have them in hand. So once they have the parts, it takes them another 5 days to get back on site. That's truly a worst case scenario, but it's happening now. So at each one of those stages, we're measuring, are they hitting what we think is a reasonable time frame? And if not, how significantly are they missing it? And taking that approach gives us a much better way to measure speed and quality, especially.
That makes sense. Well, Service Channel data shows that self-performing providers are generally the most reliable option. The relationship is more direct, local, collaborative, and accountable, resulting in higher performance at lower cost. Let's take a few minutes to meet a really great self-performer. I want to introduce you to Anthony Gennaro Plumbing, a family-owned third-generation company based in the Orlando area.
My family's been in the plumbing business for 94 years, since 1927. My name's Anthony Gennaro, and this is my wife, Jordana Gennaro, and we've been running plumbing business for the last 7 years. We've been in business for 3 generations. This is my grandfather. He got his master plumbing license in 27.
This was his dad at a plumbing supply shop.
He was very passionate about plumbing. After my father-in-law passed away, it's a legacy because it's a family tradition. I want to make sure it continues to grow.
We serve all of Central Florida, and we are looking to expand into Jacksonville market. We're always there for the customer 24/7. If I have to get in the truck myself, man some of these jobs, it's no problem. We're very dependable.
We're very hands-on with the business. We oversee all of it. We're a part of every work order. We have less than 1% recall rating, so everything is about our name and making sure that all of our work is quality work.
80% of our jobs very easily could be daily on the Service Channel platform.
You can track technicians, jobs, and seeing if there is any issues. So it's helped our team with better performance because we're able to pull up any reports and see that all the time.
Ultimately, I would like to be the largest service plumbing company in the state.
One of our biggest challenges prior to working with Service Channel was having that opportunity to get in front of the customers that we wanted. Normally, a mom and pop business like we are wouldn't have the opportunity.
Service Channel opens that door for you. We started working with Service Channel in 2016.
We've grown tremendously since using Service Channel. Having that opportunity to reach the clients that we want to get in front of, it's been able to grow our business about 50%.
We went from 3 plumbers working 40 hours a week to 8 guys making plenty of overtime.
For other small businesses that were considering being a provider, I would tell them not to think about it and to do it because it would give them opportunity that they wouldn't be able to get in other places. It's definitely so important for us to continue with that tradition because it provided livelihood for 3 generations.
Wow, what a great story. Reliable providers like Gennaro really give you peace of mind. It's so important to nurture and retain them.
It really is. In the Service Channel Managed program, where we take end-to-end responsibility of our clients' facilities, we only engage with the very best providers and we cultivate relationships with them to make sure that we're nurturing and retaining them on your behalf. What we do is we start with the best providers, we guarantee their payment, and then we deploy a number of other strategies to make sure that they like working for us. One way to do this is to carefully think about what you actually call as an emergency work order. In addition to saving you money, it provides a significant benefit to the provider. They don't have to pull a technician off of another job to come service your facilities. They can actually schedule it out. One example here is we had an 800 location retailer that started using this strategy to downgrade work orders from emergency to next business day. We're able to do it for 25% of these work orders. And the strategy helped save that retailer $126 per invoice in which that strategy was deployed.
Well, of course, you also want to identify and replace providers that are not reliable. But the traditional ways of finding new providers, like checking the yellow pages or doing a Google search, just don't cut it when your brand and location uptime are on the line.
Fortunately, as we've seen, Service Channel makes it easy for you to track the speed and quality of your providers. And you probably have a decent idea, but that data is really there to help your intuition. And now, once you have an idea of which providers are less reliable and less quick, you can search Service Channel for new providers who are at the top of those metrics in their geography and in their trade. The best performers by trade and geo are at the top of the search results, and then they're ranked all the way down. You can see their speed and quality record. You can see whether they're a self-performer. You can see which industries they service, how many customers they have across Service Channel. And if you like what you see, you can go ahead and invite them to your private network and start sending work orders right from the search results.
So Khaled, going back to your earlier description of the worst case scenario, which was truly scary, I would think that in this labor constrained market, besides focusing on provider performance, facilities teams also need to take preventative measures. They need to be proactive to make every effort to avoid the need for an emergency service in the first place and be prepared if something happens. For one thing, they can do detailed asset tagging and document the age and condition of equipment in various locations. This is especially true for HVAC and refrigeration equipment, where parts are hard to come by. And of course, they should also pay more careful attention to preventative maintenance programs to avoid some of these problems in the first place. Can you tell us about what Service Channel is doing on this front?
This is another area in which we are greatly improving the accuracy and the detail of data we collect on every single work order. For example, think about how a single piece of equipment might be called something different based on the manufacturer, the retailer, the technician, or the geographic area you're in. Here's just one example. 7-Eleven calls this a Slurpee machine. Racetrack calls it a granita. And if you grew up in the South, you probably call it a slushy machine. As a result, different techs will use different terms to describe the issue and what they did to fix it, which made it difficult for us to capture useful data points on the specific services. In order to solve this, we've developed lists of what we're calling resolution and root cause codes. These codes are unique to each trade. They're easy to pick from a drop-down menu for the techs. And as an example, here's the standardized list of codes for HVAC and refrigeration. So we are now capturing the precise actions taken by the technician and the root cause of the problem in a standardized way. The codes are in place now for all the primary trades in the US and will be coming to Europe in early 2022. By standardizing the data, we can deliver much more accurate and useful insights to identify the nature and the causes of recurring service issues. 2 examples. The first, one of the largest US retailers identified an issue in their Tennessee area where some stores started purchasing a higher ply paper towel for the bathrooms. That led to an uptick in clogged toilets, which was alarming. and the data easily pointed to a common root cause that led the facilities team to notify procurement of the issue, and they switched back to the right ply of towel. A second example with Anthony Gennaro Plumbing, the service provider we met in the video, was able to spot an opportunity to improve their service to one of their key customers simply by stocking a specific faucet used in their facilities. By the end of 2021, we expect to have 2 million work orders with standardized resolution and root cause codes.
That's a lot of great data. Certainly, standardized data across all work orders helps ServiceChannel establish reasonable benchmarks for both costs and SLAs to help you set the right expectations. It also allows us and our customers to evaluate providers more accurately. And the most important thing, it gives our customers and their providers insights so they can use those to predict and prevent recurring problems. We've covered a lot of ground in just a few minutes here, so let's just do a quick recap. We looked at trends in today's labor market that are putting pressure on service providers, an ongoing labor shortage, the rising work orders, and evidence that providers are truly stretched thin. We also looked at some recent ServiceChannel innovations to address the trends. The use of standardized data to set reasonable performance benchmarks and provide insights to aid prevention. And also new solutions for finding good providers and managing your work orders. And finally, we shared some best practices and steps you can take to stay on top. How you can identify and nurture your good providers and replace underperformers, and some specific steps you can take to predict and prevent recurring issues. So I think that we can safely say that ServiceChannel customers can reduce downtime no matter what the service market conditions are. If you'd like more information about what we discussed here today and you're already a customer, talk to your account manager or your customer success manager. And if you're interested in potentially becoming a ServiceChannel customer, you can talk to your sales rep and they will be happy to give you more information. Thank you so much, Khaled, for your expert insights.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being here today.
Likewise. And thank you all for joining us today.